Welcome to Leave It Better with Smash Afrika and Friends, and as you can see, I'm now hosting a talk show. Talk show. Welcome to the talk show, Bangani. must I be like Rebecca Malop? Rebecca Malop for Sabatuba engaged. It's like, what's wrong?
We didn't know we were on a talk show. Now we're like, oh wait.
That's also another way of breaking the ice. If you subscribe to the channel, thank you so much. I see you, I appreciate you. If you've been commenting in the videos, I see you, I appreciate you. And if you've been sharing, danko. Let's get this channel to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the week.
Yes.
No pressure. So if you are aware, we've been having a conversation trying to break down the thesis that Dr. Hopolang Matee did 8 years ago. And I'm saying 8 years ago because that's when the journey started, right? And now that Utoti, Kidogotela, Ramona, PhD level, we had a two-part conversation. And in that two-part conversation, we looked at absent fathers looking to reconnect with their estranged kids. And if you watch part 1 and part 2, you know my sentiment around the topic. And this time around, we figured that maybe it would be better if we have an absent father who's looking to reconnect. And we also have a single mother who is journeying. We don't know whether the father is absent today and tomorrow he'll be present. We just don't know. But she will break it down nicely for us. And before we go any further, Dr. Hopolang, let's first
Just
start.
Hopolang.
Okay.
Just
Hopolang,
thank you.
I think it's also like the hair and that thing. Today I go professionally.
Oh, last week I was just a
Last
friend.
week I was chilling, dog. So Hopolang, what is the first thing that you also wanna let the viewer on in terms of where we are going with this conversation and why we decided to have a panel discussion instead of us just going on like talking heads?
Yeah. So I think that too many researchers do very important work and it stays in the library. It stays in the Wits library, it stays published, and the average person is not going to go Google that thing or get it. And our important research needs to actually do something. It's not just for the title. Well, for me, I really didn't just want to get the name. And so the purpose of today for me was it would be an incomplete conversation if we don't get the two people or the three people in the room. And when I say the two people is, as you've introduced, the woman who is saying, I'm a single parent, that wasn't my initial journey, and I would like this not to be. And the dad who says, I'm not in my child's life, I want to be. And I think families struggle to do it. We were having this conversation. Families struggle to do it. We all operate in silos, and I think it's important that people like you and I can bring these two people so that they can get the perspective of each other, because this is where the breakdown happens, right? I want out there dad who's trying to reconnect to hear the perspective of a woman and the mother of his child through Thandazile, right? She does not speak on behalf of all women and he does not speak on behalf of all men, but there are similarities and we're starting somewhere.
I like that. And on that note, I was scared that you're going to take my intro. I was like, yo, this girl, I just introduced you to this platform.
I've already taken your
Like,
podcast.
you know what I mean? And she was saying, it's a conversation that's happening offline. She was saying to me, it's like, I took over your podcast. Watch out, boy. First, ladies first, Thandazile Ndlovu, you are an author, you're a professional, you're a teacher, and a mother.
Yeah.
And you are going to share a piece of your personal experience, your lived experience as a mother. First and foremost, what made you jump up at this opportunity to join this conversation?
Liking things. No, I'm joking. I think for me, just in general, I am big on awkward conversations,
Sure.
or conversations that people are scared to have. So at any given opportunity to have a conversation about something that I'm passionate about, that people are not always comfortable to do, I will gladly do it. And I mean, as mentioned earlier when we were having a chat offline, is that when these conversations are happening, a lot of the times it's with people that are emotionally involved. And because they're emotionally involved, they're not always able to be objective and fair. And this is a space where, although I'm giving my perspective, Ulungile and I don't have an emotional connection to each other's stories, right? So I can say, no, I don't agree. And I'm hoping he can trust that that's not because I'm saying I don't agree with you personally. I don't agree with the stance. Or, oh, yes, I do agree because. And I think sometimes it's important to have the outside looking in perspective.
And that's why she likes spice and things. I love that setup. Dayjoy Wise Posisi, you're a creative, bro. You jumped at this opportunity, and it's so... But we are not making this up. Well, I'm not making this up. So you were part of Dr. Matee's thesis, the research. She gives you a call on a random day. And on that random day, you so happen to be watching the episode.
Yes, I was. I was actually watching the clips, and she's changed so much. I wasn't sure it was her until I was like, oh, they're talking about us. But I wanted to do it partly was for selfish reasons as well, because what happens is when these kids grow up, they'll come to us and say, hey, why didn't you look for me? Why weren't you concerned about being a part of my life? And I've been very vocal about it on my social media on how I miss my son and how I need help to get access to my son. So I felt like this platform could also help me and maybe help others as well. So I was like, and she has a very nice voice. So she's like, Deja. So I was like, cool, sharp. Yes. So it's partly for like selfish reasons, but also to help other guys, because I know a lot of guys that are also in the same space that I'm in, where they're trying to get a hold of their kids and they don't know how to. So I was hoping for this conversation that we're gonna have can shed a light into that.
All right. Now that we set the tone and you understand that I gotta let loose of my hair, because sometimes I feel like, I can not stay if I'm So, selfish reasons, my boy. I'm gonna start with you. For me, that is a trigger word, right? And I understand the gist of your story. You are to a degree alienated from your child. That's why you haven't seen your son. How old is your son?
He's 13 now.
He's 13. And so you've gone on social media. You've gone to us for help. You've been part of research. You are putting it out there that you want to reconnect with your son. What is stopping you from reconnecting with your son?
I'd say I don't know, there's a hindrance between me and her mother. Right now, there isn't any communications. I mean, like, a couple of months back, she called me out of the blue, I'd say, and then she said she really wanted to fix this. My grandmother just recently passed away, and she was very apologetic and saying how she thinks my son has to be a part of my life. And then when I was very happy about it, and I thought, how we can start the conversation, we can just fix things for the sake of our son, and then it just disappeared, and she disappeared out of nowhere. So I guess it's lack of communication. I can't really pinpoint what is the stumbling block, but I have no access to the mother of my son. I don't have any idea where they live. And another thing that I'm aware that I've come to be conscious of is when you don't have access to your son, it's not only the mother who doesn't want you to see them. I mean, the whole family as well, because I've called the families as well asking for where they live, where does this guy go to school, and those kind of things, and I don't get those information.
So you are constantly hitting a brick wall or wall of China in terms of trying to reconnect. There's something stopping you, right? But you haven't lost, I guess you haven't lost hope that it might happen.
I know I will see my son.
You haven't given up?
Yes. The thing is, I know I will see my son. And what happens is, and also in like black families, when you want to see your son and you talk to your families, you say, hey, I need you guys to give me help. They'll say to you, no, don't worry. When he's all growing up, he'll come see you. And I don't need that. I don't want that because I'm missing out on him growing up. I'm missing out on.
He's 13, bro. You've missed out on a lot.
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw your son?
He was about 7, so it's been a very long time.
And the legal route, have you explored that one?
So I did.
Okay.
I did because initially when we were talking, I said, she said to me, "Why don't we just go like the legal route?" On which I did. I went to.
When you were talking with the mother of your child.
Yes, well, I wasn't seeing the guy, but I could speak to her. There was communication at least happening, right?
At the time.
At that time, in fact, that's when the communication stopped, and I went to. There's a family court in Johannesburg.
Sure.
I went to that for the first time, and they said, okay, they schedule another one. And the second time I went, all they did was just not show up. Not to show up. And then they gave me a letter so that I could take to a court in Pamrich, and I did that, and nothing has come out of that. And also, I really struggled in locating where they were. And
yeah, because you need to also give them the documents or the summons.
yes, I have to actually do that. And that's why I'm saying when people don't want you to see your son, it's not only the mother of the child, it's also their families,
the
as
community
well.
around.
Yeah, and another thing, another aspect to this is sometimes our baby moms, they also move on with their lives. In my case, she's married. Right. So now there's also that element as well where there's another guy in the picture that's playing a father role to my son. I don't mind that. I mean, she's married. He's married to the mother, but I also need access to my son. And so also you have a situation where the family will try and appease this guy because once you appear, once you're in the scene, it's like, okay, fine. Now he's not the father or whatever. For whatever reason, I don't know. I've never been a stepfather, but I think it plays a role as well.
I want to bring you in there, Hopolang, because now this also speaks to like emotional maturity from all three people, and how that is seen by the child. Like my parents are doing this, and my dad is alienated, but I also have a father figure in the house, so maybe I shouldn't stress too much about it or let it affect. Like, how does it impact one's life as a child, number one, and how does it like impact the whole community or the family situation?
I think in these situations we need to be very careful on what we're displaying, because I think what could be impacted, I don't know. I think each child would be able to explain this from their own stance, but I think the possibilities in that case is, will that child have an opportunity to see that he has two dads? You know, how is it? We don't know how it's phrased to him. It can impact the biological relationship and his sense of being, because at the end of the day, last week I said, whether we like it or not, that child is 50% you and 50% the dad. So that already is impacted. A sense of self, psychologically a sense of identity and self. And it's a split identity then, in that case, right? And I don't know the quality of relationship with stepdad, and you get wonderful step-parents and they do amazing jobs. And if he's doing an amazing job, it still robs him of something. There's still something missing, right? I think it impacts the family where, especially in an African or South African perspective, we are saying, what are we saying about the nature of our family structures? Because it's never been a mom and a dad. We've always had Obaba Mncane, Obaba Mkhulu. You know, we've got this collective perspective, and we're taking that away from our identity as South Africans and the family. And those structures were there initially as support structures. So, for example, as a mom, I haven't raised my child by myself.
Yep.
My child has been raised by everybody.
Yep.
By everyone, including my friends, right? So when we then alienate that and say, that's not important, I think we're taking away a big part of identity. Even for mom, even for maternal family. I know for a fact wherever they are, it's strenuous. to raise that child by yourself as just the maternal structure, not just financially, not just mentally, but to hold the weight of responsibility of raising a human being, Uliwan, as a maternal structure, there's no way.
Yeah. Tandazile, that's where you come in. I swear, this is a talk show. How
Yeah.
you got to tell me about your situation, number one.
Sure.
How old is your daughter, and how long has her father been estranged to your daughter? Or are they, like I mentioned something at the start, like maybe they're present today.
Yeah.
Like after this podcast recording, they call like, I want to see my daughter.
Maybe this morning. Who
Maybe
knows?
this. Yeah. So, are they estranged? Would you call it being estranged? And are they an absent dad? And how are you navigating that as a mom and as the primary parent as well?
Okay. So I think for me, I would say partially absent. And the reason I say partially absent is definitely based on my standards of what being a parent is.
Let's go.
So
Let's start there.
Okay, so and the reason I say that is because you could ask him and maybe he doesn't view himself as partially absent, right? But for me, my lived experience, first of all, when I was brought up, was mom and dad were always there, right? And mom and dad were together. Were mom and dad always happy? No, but they were always part of bringing me up, right? And for me, when it comes to raising my daughter, so you asked how old she is, she's 8.
Okay.
When it comes to bringing up my daughter, I'm always there. So for me, it's not about us being together, but it's about, are you always there for her? So for example, she got her tonsils removed a year ago. I had sent comms. I mean, when you remove your tonsils, it's pre-planned to say, this is happening on this date, at this time, at this hospital. Sent that. He wasn't there. I was there. During the recovery of that, he wasn't there. I was there. So that's why I say partially absent in that. Does he see her from time to time? Yes. She's at school right now. If something happened and they said, who should we call? Would he mention her? Probably not. He would say me. She would say me. Then she would say Gogo. Then she would say Kulu. Then she would say my sister. Then she would say my friends. Then she would say dad. So she knows dad. Dad is a part of her life. But dad is not part of the primary day-to-day decision-making and caregiving.
So I'm gonna include myself. I squeeze no.
Yeah.
So I've come to realize that there are certain things that I need to do in order for me to be present in my child's life, even though she lives in another province. I'm not good at this. I'm not perfect, but I'm looking to get better at it.
Yeah.
Having a phone call with her on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And at a specific time. You know, like you have that a period between 6:30 in the morning and before she gets to school. So between 6:30 and 7:30, anytime there, you can just quick video call. Yeah. All the best at school. I'm not there, but it's something that my ex-wife has mentioned. Like, yo, you need to consider this.
Yeah.
Because when this child gets hurt, the first person she wants to call is not her dad to comfort her, is the grandmother, because the grandmother is consistently calling and checking in on her. So this is me just, I'm squeezing myself and owning my part in terms of, I see the role that I can play in being present on a daily basis. Like regarding distance, it's neither here or there. It's just making time to make that phone call. So they get into a habit.
And I think the tricky thing now, for me in my experience, is that because now I'm the primary caregiver and I'm seeing inconsistencies, it gets to a point where then I have to determine boundaries, right? In order to try and protect my child based on my standards of parenting.
Tell me more.
And this is where it gets. So, for example, if he says, I would love to take her out for dinner, okay? And I use this example because it's happened. And he's like, I'd like to take her out for dinner at 7 p.m. It's not that I don't want you to see her, but that doesn't work with our lived schedule because 7 p.m.
Routine.
it's bedtime. But you don't know that because you're not a part of the day-to-day routine. Sure. Now, when I say no, I'm not saying no because I'm wanting to stop you from seeing your child. And that's why for me, I'll say no and give an alternative. But the problem is my alternative might not work for you. But eventually, for the best interest of my child, I also have to have boundaries, because I can't now throw my child's whole schedule off for a once-off thing. Also, because there's also been times where you've said, I'm going to do this, and then at the last minute cancelled.
We are going to talk about disappointment. Can you please park it?
Okay.
Sorry,
Lungile sounded like
yes,
you.
I just want to ask a question. Also, you said that you came from a background where your parents, both your father and mother, have always been there. What kind of background does it come from? Because also that informs how sometimes we move as guys or as people in general. Does he come from a situation where his mom and dad were present? Because also we learned that from home as well, right?
No, 1,000%. Look, I'm iffy about speaking about his story without his permission.
All
But
right.
what I will say is that's why I was saying earlier that now we're living based on my decisions of parenting, because we're not doing this together. Because if we were doing it together, we can have a conversation and say, this is my lived experience. Because also, as much as I have my lived experience, not everything that happened in my childhood I'm imparting on my child, because I am having to learn to do better. Now, the tricky thing is I'm having to learn to do better, set a standard, and now try and bring you into my standard, whether you like it or not. Right? And that's where the part of the conflict happens, because I've made a decision and I've said 7 p.m. is bedtime. Maybe if it were up to you, it would be 8 p.m. But now, because I've said in this house where I am raising this child, 7 p.m. is bedtime. Whether you agree or not, I'm there day to day.
Dejo, why did you feel like you needed to ask that question? I just wanna.
Because where we come from, how we were raised, it informs how we also want to raise our kids as well. Like, I'll make an example with my situations. Once Kung Fu started going to school, Dumi just came and told me, "Yo,
You need to give us a reference in terms
oh,
of names.
Kung Fu is my son. I call him
Okay.
Kung Fu. His name is Kuto. I call him Kung Fu.
Okay.
So once he started going to school, she came and just told me, "No, we're taking this boy to like a Catholic school." And I was like, "You don't even know if I've turned Muslim, right?" It's one of those decisions that if you want to make, I want to be a part of it, because this is my son. He's a part of me. And now, not that I had a problem with him going to a Catholic school, but I was saying, hey, if you want to make it, and also if you want to make a decision that's going to impact me financially, make me a part of it. Don't just come and give me the bill and say, pay this thing.
So that's where I was itching to jump in, but I was like, I've taught myself to restrain myself. So you are partaking in paying for school fees,
Not yet.
contributing to what your son eats.
No, not now.
You are not contributing.
Yes, not now.
So
When
you-
I was, that was the
that was
conversation.
back then. So
Yes.
because I get it, like it's been what 7 to 8 years when
Yeah.
you haven't seen him, but let's say 7 years before you were
Yes, I was
contributing
active in his life,
financially, and you knew like
I was at Beth like you were. I was there.
I ran. None of that change. That changed. So. But anyway, the reason why I wanted to jump in, like a chat about school, like saying to your ex-wife or the mother of your child, like, no, maybe I am Muslim and I wouldn't want my child to go to a Catholic school. You also need to look at the situation where they live and what their situation is like. So we know that with religion, there are daily practices that you need to do that enforce you being part of that religion. So if, let's say, Kuto does not see you praying at specific times because you are because we're just going to use that example, he can't relate to that because he doesn't experience it on a daily. And if Kuto's mother is a Christian and between certain times they do these things, he will definitely relate better because of the situation where he's spending more time on that other side versus time on your end. And oftentimes as dudes, we like to think from like literally our situation, present tense situation, an emotional state, and we want to just throw it at the mother, and we'll think we will not get like someone saying, nah, bruh, it stops here. We can't do it. So one of the things that I think men should often do before they respond and react, like, I would like to be considered in these conversations, is what have you done to put yourself in a place to be considered when these conversations are at the beginning?
And I think, sorry, no, go on. Okay, sorry. I was going to say, and I think even on that, for me, and sometimes this is something I struggle with, right, is that it's not, a lot of these decisions are not about me, right? And shouldn't be about me or you. And I liked what you said when you spoke about the fact that it's also about where do we live, right? So if we live in an area where the good schools are the Catholic schools, right? And I think more, for me, the conversation should be about, okay, what led you to this decision? And these are my thoughts based on what's best for the child, right? Because it's my opinion is coming from a certain point. Let's have a conversation about where's that coming from, and let's have a conversation about where's your decision coming from. Because I think sometimes what happens, it's about, and along Zomlaya, because you are Muslim, I'm taking my child to a Catholic school.
It does seem like it does
seems like that.
Because,
but that's why
and
I'm
I
saying,
mentioned like
have the
the
conversation.
present time, like when you're looking right now in this, if someone had to take like a screenshot of how our emotional gauge right now, we are very calm. Anyone could come through and be able to react a certain way. But when you are emotionally, like, it's in the red, and then you want to speak and you want to, usually you got to give yourself time and grace.
And you might be in the red and I'm in the green. And because I'm in the green, I'm like, yeah, let's have this conversation. But you're in the red, so therefore
and
you shut down.
I'm not coming through and I'm not hearing you and I'm not
Exactly.
seeing.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Do you know what's hard? And like, just from a psychological point of view, I think what's difficult is that the moment you make the decision that you're going to be a parent, mother or father, it's a cliche, but it's true, it stops being about you. The minute I decide, smash, that I find out I'm pregnant and I am going to keep it, not it, the baby, okay, immediately it stops being about me. My bladder is no longer my own, my appetite is no longer my own, my moods are no longer my own, my finances are no longer my mind. So from that point, before we have this conversation, where we start as mom and dad is, have you accepted the fact that the minute you accepted that you're a dad or you're a mom, it stopped being about you? Because if you haven't, these conversations are going to be a back and forth, red, purple, blue. It's just never going to happen. Because in order to heal this, you have to say, I don't like this decision, but I'm going to compromise because it's not about me. And the second thing I wanted to interject on is, how did we come to the decision that the child lives with me in the first place? How did we get to the point that I'm the primary parent? Primary parent, in my definition, is the person who day-to-day lives with the child. Okay? That's a conversation that needs to be had between me and dad. And when we're having that conversation, we also need to have the conversation of where do we both come from? What are our values? What are our belief systems? So that we can negotiate. So in a psychological point of view, I always say you have 3 non-negotiables and everything else is on the table. We welcome everything on the dinner table. I have 3, you have 3. But most people don't even know their values. And so then we end up weaponizing our kids, Hopolang, or to say it feels like Wanglaya, and that's not it. We haven't had the conversation with ourselves that this is not about me. Do I know my values? Why am I fighting between Christian and Muslim school? What is it about? And it goes back to what you're saying. Do you even pray? So what is the problem? Do you want the child to live with you? If mom said, I'll be the co-parent that comes and goes, or I'll be the weekend parent, are you going to do it? Okay. And if you're going to do it, where are the schools in your area? Have you researched it? The mental capacity to look for schools, finances, have you done it? Right? So I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying, before you even involve this kid, have you had the conversation with yourself? And then have the conversation with your co-parent from a point of view that is aimed at, with the foundation of, this is not about me. It stopped being about me when I got that pregnancy test positive.
And that's why you are here.
Me.
You just gave us a blueprint of leaving it better.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna bring you guys in. Hearing what she just said, did you think about these things? Honestly.
When
Early days.
yeah,
Because remember, like, I get Kofi's about to turn 13 now. So let's for 2 seconds, let's ignore the fact that he's 13, but we are talking about at the very start.
you know, yes, we did actually. The thing is, when a baby is born, usually when we conceive a baby, it's just the two of you guys, right? And then you guys find out that you're pregnant, and then it's like it was just between the two of us, in fact. And then we decided we're keeping a baby, and we kept it a secret for a little while, right? I think things became pear-shaped as soon as there were other people involved. As soon as there's like now the friend advising or the mother advising, you know, as soon as other people got involved, our initial plan didn't go as planned. It wasn't now the same. It was like, no, I'm not living in Spreadview. I'm going to go live in Meyersdal. Why are you like living in Meyersdal? It's so far away from me now. No, you'll make a plan. Things changed. Like,
Sorry, can I ask, did this happen because you guys broke up?
no. These things actually happened. I think I broke up with Kung Fu's mom when Kung Fu was about 6.
Oh, and the reason I ask is because, like, for example, in my situation, we were never together in a relationship. Like you guys were speaking last week about oopsies and whatever, and I think part of the influence of other people sometimes is circumstantial. So we were never together, and when I said, okay, this is the situation, I'm pregnant, his response was, abort the baby. My response was, I'm not doing that. And for the first couple of years, he said, you have made this decision, therefore you are on your own.
Damn.
Which then meant I had to move out of a place that I was living in and move back home. What does that mean? That means automatically my parents are involved. Because now I can't say I'm living in your home, but you have no input in this child's life. I can't. And also, as black people, we all know that umntwana in that situation was called ukabonina. My child uses my dad's surname, which means culturally, umntana mogababami before. Culturally.
That's what you were talking about, Tatumngani,
Exactly.
Abumkhulu.
Exactly. Which
Like
means
those things play
They
such a
play such a
pivotal.
role.
Exactly, which means there have been certain situations where I've had to go back and forth with my parents, and sometimes they have drawn a line and said no. And whether I have agreed with that or not, I was under their house, right? And the reality of the situation is me being under their house benefited the upbringing of my daughter. So I don't then get to say, yeah, I'm living under your house, but you don't have a say, right? Yes, there were moments where I've also had to now draw a line and say, no, but actually Bazali, you know. But that's also the reality of the situation is when you're in someone's house, and I wasn't in their house before falling pregnant. I had moved out. I moved back home for the affordability of this child because the father had made a decision then to say, Angizingeni, right? Which now means if my father says, Angizingeni ezak, what do I say? Because then if my father says, oh, uzingenile ezak, hambo hlala khona.
Pause. Pause. Right. I know you wanted to say something. You need to make me understand this chat now. This guy says he doesn't want to be in the child's life. The mother says, I want this child. I'm going to have this child. They have this child. The child arrives. 3 months, a year, 12 months down the line, this guy says, I want in now. How do we navigate that? Because someone watching right now can probably relate with your story, and it's early days. Like the child was born 2-3 months, and this guy's picked up the phone and said, I want to see my baby. I want a DNA test. I see that's my nose. That's my that's my family nose.
It's probably
Now we are going paternity test.
This is the rupture, and this is the painful part of it, and this is the research, right? Where it's not unique. That decision smash is not unique to parenting. That decision is an adulting thing. When you make a choice, whether it was impulsive, well thought out or not, there are consequences to it. So 12 months later, when you come back to the mother of your child and say, now I'm ready, fortunately and unfortunately, there are consequences to the initial decision. In the same way, the mom has to have dealt with the decision that she made, Uguti, with or without you, I'm keeping the baby because that's what I want to do. And her consequences for 12 months were raising the child by herself, going back, I'm just now using this example, going back home, changing that life, not knowing 12 months from now whether you're coming back or not. She had her own consequences. So for you coming in, it would be very odd and selfish and just thinking in a silo to say, now that I'm ready, everything must go the way. There's been 12 months of this child's life having placed in a particular way. As Tandazile explained earlier, there's a routine, there's an eating plan, there's a financial, a plan, there's all sorts of things. How you come back in, however, is to say, I am now in a position where I'm ready to have a conversation, and you curiously ask, are you ready? Because just because you're ready doesn't mean I'm ready. I might still be processing. So I think you offer an olive branch and you say, I'm taking accountability. I made a decision based on where I was contextually. I've changed my mind. I would like you to open up space for me to change my mind. Hopefully, mom, like Utandazila says, okay, you've changed your mind. Let's have the conversation. You first find out what has been happening for 13 years, what has been happening for 12 years, 12 months, right? And you two have the conversation about, this is what's been happening, this is where I'm at, this is how it's been for me, this is how it's been for me. And you negotiate. You're always negotiating. When you say you're coming back, what are you coming back for? Can you help me understand? I don't want to assume. Have you thought about it? And if in that conversation I get the sense that you haven't, go back and think about it. But let's say you've thought about it. Now I want to be present. I want to do the whole shebang, right? Then the conversation goes to, what do you think about how we've been doing it for 12 months? What are your views and values about how we've been doing it for 13 years? Then he gets to say, I agree with this, I don't. And you negotiate. It's always a negotiation.
I'm going to bring in another person onto the couch. You guys are not going anywhere. Here's a talk show. If I was on the SABC or Mnet, I'd say we're going to pay some bills. But because we are on the internet, we actually are going to pay some bills. Look, man, if you're looking to start a podcast, maybe you're a recording artist and you're looking for a studio or create video content, make sure you check out dreamstream.co.za for all the details. And I'm so kind to give you a promo code to try them out for a month for free. But there's nothing for free because you got to pay for the internet. Go to dreamstream.co.za. We'll be back. Back from the ad break on the internet. Times have changed. Noah Mutupeng is my friend, and he joins me. He's also the founder and creative, the runner, the cleaner, the finance guy, the funder, everything of Daddy's SA. And it's an initiative that he started probably a year and a half ago in terms of the idea. He hit me up. He's like, yeah, Smash Dog, you a dad. I like how you are daddying. Little did he know that I was going to get divorced. So I can't be part of Daddy's, obviously. This is what I am assuming. And you could say, if you're watching part 1 and part 2, you could say that's Smash's psychic defense. Why is he using humor to run away from the thing? But the reason why I brought Neo to be part of our conversation, guys, is he is a present dad. He is married. So he's got the nucleus environment going on for him. And your son is turning 3, ne?
Yeah.
Soon.
In a month's time?
Yeah.
2 months. 2
Yeah.
months' time.
So your son is turning 3, so you've been there 9 months. You've seen the birthdays
9 months to date.
to date, right? Now, my first question, when you found out that you were pregnant,
Yeah.
were you guys married, and did you have a plan to make this baby?
No, we were not married, but the intention was in the process.
Okay.
He just happened to be conceived before,
Okay.
but by the time he was on Earth, ka setho ne se re nyetse.
Okay.
Yeah. So and yeah, I did want him
So
definitely.
so it's a situation, Ojadi straight, but what happens happens.
Listen to this guy.
I mean, married men, like I used to be married. We
We
talk
are
about,
live.
yeah, like you know when you are married, like and this is also in the church. You're allowed to talk about sex the way you want to talk. So I'm just going for the jugular because you are married.
Yeah.
And if you're not married, it's your business. I have no business in your business. So the boy arrives, ne?
Yeah.
So a lot of things happen before even his arrival.
Yeah.
So there are gynae appointments, there's planning, finding out which hospital he needs to go to, which school. How invested are you in that pre-production, if we can call it that, and planning?
Well, as involved as I was in the conception of it, I'm in there all the way.
Yo, thank you so much for making us laugh, bruh.
No, I was highly involved. The mother, my wife, and I, we discussed it. She wanted to give birth at a certain hospital. It's not existing anymore. I'm not gonna give them props. Down on Rosebank, there at the corner,
Yeah.
with midwives. I was like, okay, cool. If you wanna go there, because initially my was hospital.
Okay.
And my mother's a nurse, and I spoke to her, Ma, what's the best hospital for Bana? She's like, no, Park Lane, but Park Lane is the one. I was like, okay, no. If she says it, and a lot of people are saying the same thing from my information, but she wanted to go that route, and I had to find out why. It's like, okay, what are the finances around it? And we did it, and yeah, okay, I was like, okay, cool. Let's plan it accordingly. Because at the end of the day, she's the one who goes through it physically, and I needed to make this as comfortable as possible for her, and so that she can, carry this baby for us the best way possible. So yeah, there was discussions and whatever made her happy. And for me, if it didn't impede in anything in my space, I was like, okay, let's do it. It's safe. It really gives you the comfort or sharp. Then yeah, I went for it. Yeah.
So the reason why I start there, because like they're in a relationship, it's going well. Let's say you guys had to break up or whatnot. Do you think you'd still be as invested and as intentional and as present?
I don't think anything would change from my side.
Okay.
I'd even overcompensate.
Okay.
To be there, to make sure I make her comfortable, to make sure I'm in my child's life, because it also speaks to my upbringing, the things I went through, the challenges I went through with my own father. So I was like, I can't create a gap between me and my son.
Give us some context.
Yeah.
Like in terms of what you went through growing up with your father.
From a nuclear family, but my dad he was there, but he wasn't present, if it makes
Emotionally.
sense. Call it emotionally, even on a level of just being there. Like, it was spanning, TV.
Like, you don't talk to anyone.
Yeah, e.g., my dad didn't teach me how to ride a bike. He didn't teach me how to drive, but he was around. And next thing, I knew those things. If time allowed it. Do you understand?
Sure.
I'm just giving small examples. So we can do society, my food, relatives. Like, you have a busy schedule, bruh. The only time I see you is how can I conclude, hey, how are you, my boy? Yes, you love him, but how will you realize there's so many things as a boy I didn't experience? Because especially once you be hitting puberty, there you need your father. Who do you talk
No
to?
pressure, my G.
You know what I mean?
And that's why we are having this conversation, because you never know. Maybe Kuzo's mom is watching this and it's like, yo, maybe this.
Puberty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Puberty is here. You need to be involved. But carry on, bro.
Yes, and my mother's always been there, but similarly, Libanyana, when they hit puberty at a certain age, the mother now needs to take full, or rather have a dominant present in the child's life. as much as the dad is there, he also has to be. But now it's changing hormonally, things that challenges you're facing in the streets with friends, a lot of things. And that's where now the male figure needs to come in and say, hey, mana, this is now how you need to conduct yourself. This is what's happening with you. Don't be afraid. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Guide you through it. And if they're not there, the streets is going to raise you.
True.
I think what I really like about what you've just said for me personally is that it reinforces my belief that it's not necessarily about your parents being together, right? Because your parents can be together, but one of the parents is single parenting, right? Or one of the parents is partially absent. And that's why for me, in my negotiation of my parenting with my daughter's dad, it's not about the fact that we're together or not. It's not about whether I like you today or not. It's about the fact that how do we make this situation work so that it's the best parenting we can give her? Do you get what I mean? Because, yeah, we could be together. We could decide tomorrow that actually, you know what, siyachola. But siyachola, and then maybe you are now taking over and you are fully parenting and I'm not, or vice versa. So for me, it's about what are we doing in our children's lives to make sure that we are both getting the best opportunity to parent. Obviously, there's context and it's different because maybe you're not there in the morning to help them brush their teeth, but maybe you're on a video call with them, like you were saying. And I like that example because it reinforces that.
So the reason why I brought like a present dad on the show was not to say, hey, you absent dad, you are missing out.
No, we're not about that.
No.
Like, that would be like a dick move. I can say dick move on a podcast.
But
I know, that's why I want to bring you in, Dejo.
but also it's like apart from him, because I mean I've got Abachana, I've got friends and I've got kids as well. You do miss out. You do. I mean, you get an invite and they say, hey, we're having a party for the kids. And you do think about your kid. Oh damn, where's my son? And you see somebody with their son at the mall. I like shoes, right? And I really want to impart that to my son. Be like, no. These are the
You can
sneakers.
tell.
Yes.
Not anyone rocks these, bro. You gotta be a shoe guy. It's a classic.
Right, so you do want to impact, like it's there with you all the time because there are dads everywhere. There are dads on TV, there are dads in real life. There's a dad right here, you know. There are even women that are dads. Like you see a woman actually playing like a fatherly role, and you're like, oh shit, I wish I could do this for, you know. I have had to compromise, or I don't know how to say this, but I've had to also try and play a role in my cousins' kids that the fathers are not there, just to also try to fill the void as well. To be like, hey, you know what? If I can't be a father to my son, I'll be a better malums to this kid.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's like as he's talking about how he's there for his kids, it makes you sad in a way. Like you're like, fuck, you know. I can curse, right?
I gave you all the veto and I said
He
dick.
started with his own profanity.
but yeah, it's inspiring, but also it's there with you all the time. When you're not a present father, you especially if you want to be present, you see it all the time. It's like, yesh, you know. You even wish you could smack your kid. Like when you see someone smacking a kid, like fuck, I wish I could.
I do not. This one I do not condone.
No, I'm just saying.
Okay.
He's just.
I am
giving an
condemning that
example.
thought.
No.
It's a thought. Let me qualify it.
I'm saying I
It's
wish
a
I could
thought.
discipline my child.
Yeah, there we go.
That's the word. That's the word.
Hallelujah. And by the way, Dr. Hopolang was chilling there with a placard. Discipline is the word. Like,
I think she was just happy to not be sitting here. She said I was not a part of that.
So no, also one of the reasons why I brought you in, it
Yeah.
was not to say like my life is better because I'm there, or their life is worse off because they're not there, or no, it's not that. It's also to share light on the platform that is Daddies of SA and what you're hoping to do. And if it just speaks to present dads, or does it also speak to dads who are trying to reconnect with their estranged children? Is is it for everyone? Is it anyone who's a dad, and how do we get involved in that?
So, Daddies of SA, that's what it is. Daddies of SA.coza. And also there's Daddy Awards South Africa. Just Google it and you'll see all the information. The movement is mainly about father and father figures, you know. And he mentioned he he fathers or he's an uncle. That's still a father. You're a father. You don't have to be biological. It's not about biology for us. It's just helping fathers to be present, to be active. Importantly for me, being an active dad, that's what really resonates with me, you know. Just don't be present in the house and then, you know, next thing 18 years later, you're wondering why this kid doesn't connect. You have had 18 years of sitting on the couch and not talking to this guy. How me see the soccer game? Like you're just not thinking about your child, and then you wonder why. And you've got better connections, Lidi Chomi. You've got better connections, Lidi cousin. But Lungwana, how there's nothing like that. So we want to bring group of fathers just to come through and let's teach each other. Let's learn from each other. How do we better ourselves to be fathers? And also help guys like the gentleman here to say, how can we help you go back and reconnect with your child? And I was listening to conversation and everything he was saying, what I was asking myself is, how did we get here? That's the first thing, you know? How do we get here? Because for you to even get access to your child, you need to start with the foundation around him, the mother, the parents, because once you can fix that in whatever way, it will then start to spill over. Because it, without even knowing the situation, it feels like there's a trust effidile. As trusty, now it falls rata, whatever the case may be. So if you can fix those things, just speaking without knowing the full context, that's where I feel like we can help each other on Daddies of SA to say, guys, how do we help our brother to get? Because especially for me, that really is admirable, and it's something that we have to help guys like him to say, Imana, what are the steps we need to take? And I think a podcast like this, putting it out there, one day, even if it's not going to be an easy task, as you've alluded, but you are taking the steps. And what I can ask you to do is don't stop. Do not stop, because your child is going to need you one day. And such platforms will show if maybe people are speaking ill of you. It will show it's not the case. And he'll come across such things. And that's when maybe it might help you to reconnect. Yes, you've lost 20 years or 21 years, but it's never too late to show your intention and start being, you know, there for your child. So yeah, that's what Daddies of SA is about. Just guys being active and learning to be better dads and present and leave our kids as whole kids, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Do you have something to say? Something in your heart?
Nah.
We are not closing. I thought maybe because I heard you breathe there.
I was just listening to him.
Alright.
I think you're doing a great job.
All right.
Yeah.
Tandazile, when you hear Newa's passion, purpose, and I guess intention behind being there in his child's life, what do you think in terms of Zimasa? I wish that was like this, dog. Or do you even think it? Maybe I'm assuming.
Why? You know what the thing is, I'm really glad that there are platforms like this, and like this is the first time I'm hearing about it, and I think it's great work, especially because in my experience, my frustration has been I'm so tired of doing the work for myself and for someone else, right? And there being, because also I can only do that from my point of view, from my point of understanding, and it's probably different for a dad. Right? I don't know what it's like to be a dad. So in my situation, it's been okay, I was not born a mother, right? As I said, I was not planning to be a mother at the time. So I had to get in there, do the work for myself. There was a lot of stuff that I had to change in my behavior in order to be a good mother. I hate that I hesitated before saying good mother, because I was like, I'm a good mother.
You a goddamn good mother. Say it with your chest, woman. What's wrong with you?
I had to do a lot of work for myself, but in trying to be the best mother I can be, that also means compromising my feelings in order to include the dad. Because I'm not going to lie, I'll be honest, being the bigger person does not come naturally to me. I am petty labelle. I will not lie. But because it's not about me, even in the moments where all I want to say is, I have to be like, I want you to hlalalapo, but Zimasa doesn't.
Yeah.
Therefore, Yeah, and when because in her mind, because like I said, he's not fully absent, he's partially absent. In my daughter's mind, her dad is the best thing. And I have to help uphold that. So when she comes from seeing her dad and she's like, my dad is so great and we went for ice cream. In my head, I'm like, school fees. What about his school fees? But verbally, I'm saying, that's so nice. What ice cream did you get now? Oh my gosh. And when she's like, oh, and my dad bought me this doll, and I'm like, 300 rand, medical aid. What about medical aid? But I have to put that aside. And I will say that is a lot of work, because the reality of the situation is I have a lot of hot feelings when it comes to where we are, because I feel he could be doing a lot more, but I often have to put those hot feelings aside. Definitely when I'm talking to her, and sometimes even when he comes to come and pick her up, and he comes and he's like, "Hi, Tandy," and I'm just like, no, don't. That's what I want to say, because we're not friends. I don't want to be your friend, but I can't now have to be like, "Oh, hey, Smash.
I'm not the father, by the
How
way.
are you?" Yeah, no, he's not the father, guys. I just don't want to get sued. Next thing, I am sued. You said my name on a podcast. You get what I mean? Now you
I want to
have
see a
be
picture to be convinced. I want to see a picture.
I feel you. I'm not that baby's
No,
father.
He's not. But you get what I mean? Now
I feel
you
you.
have to park that and then go back. And even in speaking to other people, when I go to parent-teacher meetings and people ask me, where's her dad? I try very hard to be intentional about the language I use, because I might not badmouth him to her, but other people might. When I speak to family members, when I speak to friends, I try to be very conscious about the language I use, because we know how family is. And I've had to have conversations with, like, my mom, for example, because sometimes my mom's like, hello, babako. But we've had to have the conversations that we can say that to each other, but we can't say that in front of her.
I like
so those platforms, I think, will just sometimes relieve the pressure, because sometimes I don't have the range, and I also don't think it's fair that I have to have the range for me, you, and her.
Love it, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. No, thank you so much.
I just wanted to jump in before
yes.
you close me out. I just like her approach and how she's handling the situation, and I feel the I don't know what the dad is doing, but that little for me still goes a long way for the child. There's still the big part that's also missing, that the financial provision is obviously the running of raising this child, and how she's conducting herself. I'm hoping it's like on our platform. We want to say, guys, yeah, ochakela ngwana how every second day. But have you asked medical aid keep guy me? In keep guy. Just get context of what's happening and say, mamela, based on my life, this is the provision I think I can give. That starts to open up her heart to say, okay, you really want to play a part. I'm not using this as a benchmark. Umufa 1,000 because you can afford 1,000. And as time goes, Luena, your life, your finances grow. Play the part based on that. Or I'm giving more and I'm giving time as well. So being active and financial, guys, it really goes a long way. And you've said it. If you keep the mom happy, even if you're together or not, it's really going to spill over into the child. And even your relationship as a trio or leave four, whatever the case may be. So yeah, I think you how you're handling it, I've seen the opposite of it with the guys that come on the platform, and long term, I feel like it might just yield some fruitful relations for all of you, and hopefully gets the light sooner than later.
And hopefully that's his experience, right? Because this is my experience. He might watch this and say, "Una manga, that's not my experience," and that's his truth.
Yeah, no,
And that's
we're
his
not
truth.
judging anyone.
And I
We're just
respect
using
it.
scenarios.
Yo. If he has a problem, get in the comment, boy. Get in the comment. We bring you on the couch. Got a problem? Fix it on the couch. Do you have any closing remarks? Because I'm gonna get those squeezer out to know.
No.
I need to get Dr. Hopolang in to give her closing remarks, and obviously get your closing remarks. Do you have any closing remarks?
I think in closing, I just wanna give a shout out to all the father and father figures that are doing well, that are active in their child's lives. I think we need to bring them more to the fore of society, of social media, because now the narrative out there is fathers are absent, fathers are deadbeats, fathers are etc. Bad connotations around them. And part of us creating Daddy Awards SA and Daddies of SA is to bring forth the guys that are doing well, guys that really want to show what their being a father is like, and we can learn. Because Lynn, I'm still a new father. I don't have the answers, guys. I don't have, but my intention is to always be there, always make sure that I'm conscious, most importantly, in the things that I do with myself, with my child, with my wife, and make sure I leave him in a better space. Avoid then he has daddy issues, because men have daddy issues too. We just don't express it, you know. We want majwala or all sorts of different dysfunctions in society. So yeah, man, let's just be active fathers, guys. It's beyond provision, guys. I think money for me, especially Lausa Span, being present and active will go a long way. You'll see the fruits hang on our whole.
Yeah, really love that, man. Really appreciate it. All right, as I let this man walk off the set, I'd like to remind you that by checking out dreamstream.co.za, you'll get a promo pack. And that promo pack allows you to see exclusive content, ad-free content, and so much more. And if you're looking to record a podcast, maybe record music because you're a musician, or create video content, head out to dreamstream.co.za.
Dreamstream, a place to create yourself. Record video, music, and podcasts in our full-service studio. Record video, music, and podcasts in our full-service studio. Dreamstream, a place to create yourself.
And just like that, we're back. There's a different person on the other side of the couch. And you checked out dreamstream.co.za? Good. Because without them, we wouldn't be here. So, guys, as we get back, I would like to get some closing remarks. I'm going to do you last.
Okay.
Yeah, because you might have a lot to say. Dejoy, when you walked in here, I like that fact that you didn't come across as assuming where I'm going with this chat. And I also did not give you the impression that, like, I'm going to scold you or I'm going to sympathize with you. Just have a chat. After this conversation that we have had, there are many things that you probably want to talk about and address. But how do you feel now that we are closing this up? And what would you like to say to other dads out there or other fathers who are looking to reconnect and things are not looking up?
Just based on the experience, like, I really appreciate her point of view. It was refreshing to also get like a present mom's perspective on how to do things. You know, she spoke about a lot of things that I actually hadn't considered. So I learned. I mean, I don't know if it's my baby mom's perspective as well, but I learned also what also happens on the other side, because I'm chilling here thinking, you know, I can't see my son. You know, like, you can't help but feel like a victim sometimes. But I realize that my baby mom is also going through something. She also has to, there's things that she has to do by herself that I should be there doing. And I also learned, I mean, from Hopolang, I also learned, like, there's also, like, I don't know how to best say this, but there's also things that, or situations that we come from that impact how we act or how we move or how certain things are happening, and that things are not always black and white, you know. It was also interesting to hear from a present dad's point of view. I wish he would have stayed here a bit longer so that maybe we can have
He's got his son to go to.
Oh my gosh, Smash. The shade.
He's got a great sense of humor.
Wow.
Like, that's so distasteful.
Wow.
That's why you don't get the big jobs like Nimrod Nkosi.
You're editing that out.
But yeah, yeah, it's been a very refreshing conversation, and hopefully Dumi gets to see this, and I really would like to be a part of my son's life, and I want him to get to know me. And it's not only me as well, like, you know, I'm talking from my own here, like, as a father, but my mom, My sister had just had a baby recently. There's just a lot that has happened in our family as well. That my friends have had kids. They've divorced some of them.
Live. And you know, Hopolang mentioned this, bro.
Yes, yes.
I don't know if maybe it was offline conversations, because I've been engaging with her a lot, because it's such a big conversation. Life happens. People die. People get born. Circumstances change.
But another thing that I'd like to say is part of the reason, and I'd like to think as a black community, part of the reason we are all over the place is because there's no fathers in the homes anymore. And if there aren't fathers in the home, but we can still be a part of our kids' life. And I think as a people, it would really help us as Amagents as to just actively try to be a part of our kids' life. And to the guys that are like me, let's not stop. And another thing that I want to say is, this is me trying to take accountability. Is I also left a bit of space where I was not seeing my son, and it became okay. I became used to not seeing him. And by the time I realized I haven't seen this guy for a while, I mean, his mom and her life had gone on. They had been able to continue without me. And so I'm just saying, don't let that happen. Don't let that. Don't give space to being unpresent. I hate the absent father tag. Not being present is not cool, and we could do better, and we can.
Tandazile, closing remarks?
I think for me, I really hope the conversation lands with the intention that we have, right? One of the things I was anxious about coming into this is I was like, father of my child is partially absent. He's not absent. Is someone going to watch this and say, Tandazile said when you are an absent father, right? Because the reality is there's life outside this conversation. There's our lived realities. And I hope it lands, one, for the people who are a part of our children's lives with the intention we wanted to, and with people who are having the same experience. I'm hoping someone watches this and says, okay, I resonate with that, and gets the right thing out of it, right? Because things are open to interpretation. You can watch it and say, and uthandazile uthe enevel. And I go right man, it is 7 p.m. and that's the cutoff. So, and I really hope that this opens the conversation in safe spaces for people, because people might not necessarily have Hopolang or have Smash or have Uthandazile. But I hope in the spaces that they are in, there are spaces of growth conversations, because not all conversations are leading to the greater good. And I hope for those that are trying, like you are, they keep on trying. And for those that are doing, they don't get tired of doing. Yeah.
You know, when she said, I hope you are watching this in a safe space, or if these conversations happen in a safe space, it's like, don't watch this while you are in a taxi. About to jump off. Because you know what? Anyway, that's just like my mind.
Not what I meant.
Yeah, like my mind. And I realized, no, safe environment for the conversation to be had, facilitated, and no choosing sides. And I think we did a great job in terms of not picking sides.
I hope so.
You know these people.
Tell us in the comments.
Yeah, you know these people personally. I just met them now. And obviously I've known Neo, and I've known you, and obviously I know my life. And I tried not to personalize it, but take from lived experiences into the context of what I'm asking. And I think if you choose to consume this content and get the wrong thing out of it, you were looking for the wrong thing. If you are listening and watching this conversation and you are getting the right thing out of this content, you were looking for the right thing. So ours is to create spaces and platforms to have the conversations that are not had. And shout out to you, Dr. Matee. What are your closing remarks?
Man, I think I've said a lot. I'm sure, by the time people get to part 3, they're like, so
This is part 3.
Yes. So I feel grateful, and I just want to thank all 4 of you. That's where I'm at. I want to thank Neo as a present dad, coming to show his perspective, and he shared such valuable things. I definitely am going to engage with that platform that he has. It's important. I want to thank you, Dee. It's not an easy thing when I approached you 4 or 5 years, 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to have the courage to even follow up and come back, I just want to thank you. For you to be the face of planting an initial seed on this platform, it's so important because a lot of dads can't, won't, and it's frightening. So just thank you. Thank you. You are planting a seed that is going to grow. I know it's going to grow. I believe in this so much. And whatever negative impacts this may have on you, I pray that you don't internalize them. I pray that you continue to do the work. Professionally and personally, I'll always be there to facilitate what I can facilitate. But just thank you. Thank you. And I wish you all the best in your journey with all the parties involved in your life and your child's journey and the mother of your child and your families. Tandazile, oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you so much. You also offering such a valuable perspective because women are hurt. I hope a woman who is watching this is saying, I desire this, I've tried this, gets whatever helpful perspective. It's possible. Nell was right. You have such a refreshing framework in how you're raising your child. I witness you raising your child. She has a healthy, functional child. You're doing a lot. Actually, when I was listening to you speak, I got emotional because I was like, psychologically, nobody understands unless they're in the shoes what it takes to think for 3 people. The men, Noah was talking, he's right. He said it's not just the financial smash. The amount of emotional capacity, psychological work you have to do, whether you're in therapy or not, whether you pray or not, to do this, to have this perspective. I could cry, but I won't. Okay, so thank you. Thank you for being vulnerable. All your kids are going to watch this one day, and so it's even vulnerable for them. It's a story.
Kids I teach or the kids I'm going to have?
All of them.
Oh.
And the kids you have. and the kids you have and gonna have. They didn't choose the story, and for you guys to sacrifice that for us, for our benefit and the benefit of South African black men, thank you. Me, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being the kind of platform that is open to having important conversations. Your platform already has important conversations, but not all platforms will have this chat. It's a difficult chat. It's an uncomfortable chat to have. It's an unpopular conversation to have. It's one that can backfire on you and your platform. But thank you. Thank you for taking my research out of the library and doing something constructive with it. And as Snoop Dogg said, thank me for doing the work.
Yeah,
And
sure.
oh my gosh, let me stay professional. Thank you,
Snoop
Smash.
Dogg. Wait, it was Snoop Doggy Dog.
Thank you for being
Next thing she lights us all.
She would never do that. She would never.
Yeah, I just want to say two
Sorry,
things.
Smash.
Yes.
Can I interrupt you
Yes.
on your podcast? And I'm
Yeah.
leaving your podcast now to
Yeah.
you. I want to give you your flowers.
Sure.
I said it offline. You and your platform managed to do what many Black South African families don't manage to do, which is to get 2 people with 2 different perspectives and experiences where there's a disconnect in a room.
Yeah.
And have an intelligent, emotionally mature conversation where thought has been sparked. You managed to do that. And we brought our kids together.
Yeah, so sequel of Lobola Man. Hire us. Get us in there. But on the real though, I just want to say first and foremost, without you guys and your confidence in yourself and allowing vulnerability and most importantly, leaving it better, you wouldn't have come here. So I want to thank you for availing yourself and doing that. I think this is a conversation that leaves it better than we found it. You said backfire. Nothing ever backfires with me. Like, I let it burn, girl. You know? So, and hopefully we are starting a fire that's going to burn those bad things around reconnection with absent parents, not just black, not just white, not like specific to race, but in society. Hopefully we'll also burn those spaces that we call like, this is my stance, this is my belief, I will not engage It's not about you, it's about the child. So, and once we burn that, we can see the snakes in the grass. You know what I mean? So let it burn. Keep on subscribing and keep on engaging. And in the next episode, hopefully, when she comes back from the UAE, before she goes, we have kids who've reconnected with their parents and talk about that journey. And yeah, we just laugh at that and see how beautiful it is to have babies reconnecting with their estranged parents or their absent parents. And I'll be the guest and the host. See what I did there. Till the next episode, leave it better. Danko.
Did you just rope me into another podcast?
Yes.
Without even, I didn't know. just say you want to co-host, bruh. Just tell me.
So thank you so much, guys.
We gonna